got a severe situation going on.
I see that.
What?
Did you go over the tips of your skis? What happened?
Not yet, but I plan on it. No, I got to tell you, when I moved here and started skiing again after not skiing for several years, there's one rule: no falling, no falling.
Well, when you grow up in the Midwest, like both of us did, you're used to not falling because it's hard ice. You're basically ice skating full speed.
Let's face it, Mount Bachelor can have those conditions. I mean, I've thought sometimes I should have brought ice skates up here instead of skis. Of course, you can have beautiful. I mean, you get a wide range of conditions on Mount Bachelor.
Well, the Bluebird corduroy days up at Bachelor are some of my favorite types of ski days myself, Bobby.
For sure. The spring, let's face it, the spring skiing is fantastic here. Right now,
I really don't care so much about the skiing here until about March, quite honestly.
There you go. All right, Matt, speaking of the Midwest, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
I want you to give me your dude. I love this share that you had. Tiger Stadium concession stand was pretty much just like your high school lunch line, except they had beer. Not only they had beer, they had Stroh's beer, a fan favorite of the Heffernan household. Tell me about Tiger Stadium.
Tiger Stadium at Trumbull, the greatest place. I mean, I saw the 84, season start there when that was my senior year in high school, my freshman year in college. And that's exactly what the fine ladies that served you $2. No, it was dollar beers in the center field bleachers where we sat for $1. Because it was, I don't know if people remember, but the center field at Tiger Stadium was 440 feet, Bob. There was no center field like the center field in Detroit. You couldn't get it there. But, those seats in the lower deck of the center field bleachers were some of the most god-awful seats you can imagine. God-awful.
Beautiful. Speaking of stadium food.
But not only did they look like that, but Chris Farley, when he came to Detroit to see, the White Sox play the Tigers, I think this is where he picked up Lunch Ladyland because he looks just like the gal on the right there. Like if you should have really teed up Lunch Ladyland with he and Adam Sandler going at it because one of the greatest skits ever, one of the funniest men to ever live, John Candy, by the way. And I will note, if you haven't watched, there's a new Showtime documentary that nobody's ever done a documentary on Belushi. And I got to tell you, it is one of the I didn't know all this stuff about Belushi. I forgot he was Albanian. He wasn't Italian, and everybody thought he was Italian. He was from Albania, and he had this whole, background in his life of, hating that he was Albanian. So he wanted to be funny. I mean, it just sets up again. It's where he came from is right. The reason why he is who he is and was what he was. Funny guy.
I just want to talk for a second. Wait a second, Matt. I don't see we're pushing. Do we have a glitch? A glitch in the matrix?
May have had a glitch. I don't know.
Hold on. I want to tell you about the best stadium food in the as far as I know, anywhere. All right. And that is Vancouver, right? Vancouver, Canada. And quote retweet. Hi. Vancouver, Canada. I was up in Vancouver for a CFL football game, right?
Why?
And
you're a big Toronto Argonaut fan, and you had to go.
Well, I was just able to go. Let's just say that I was just able to go. Anyway, the food there, dude, ridiculous. They had 7-8 different kinds of poutine.
Wow. And that was
poutine. I had the short rib poutine at the stadium. It's the best stadium food I've ever had.
All right,
man. Let's move on down the road.
I remember going to Vancouver to watch the Red Wings play the Canucks in the 2002 Stanley Cup after they had lost to in Detroit. They were the number 1 seed, and of course, I went up there and turned the whole thing around. We went from 0-2 to 2-2 after our 2 games in Vancouver, back to Detroit for the clean sweep, 4-2, on to win the Cup in 2002, which probably was the last time the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup, by the way.
All right, man, I want to move on. Pat McDaniel, I started following this guy. I love following different people on Twitter because you get different snippets, right? This guy has a lot about psychology, and I like using or thinking about that as it regard to my trading. Anyway, this one was great. Research reveals that things are rarely as bad or good as we imagine due to this cognitive brain bias that we have. All right, and then the article is effective forecasting, wrongly imagining the future, which the article points out, which we all do. And this is great. Here's the problem. Research has revealed that you and I have a mental distortion in our perception of the future. It confirms we humans have a huge problem accurately predicting how certain events, good or bad, will impact us, especially how we will feel in the future because of them. All right. And then it says it gets worse. Your inability to accurately forecast your future quality of life based on the impact, I need to add that current events have on you is undermining the quality of your decision making, right? So I like thinking about things like this as regards to trading, and we've talked about, and it has been front and center, right, Matt? People talking about the dollar and how the dollar is going to go to zero. I mean, I actually have seen that type of tweet. So let's talk about the dollar a little bit and the fact that they paint this picture of this future, and the future usually lies in the middle. The example that they gave in the article was kids coming into college freshman year, and they told half of them you're going to be assigned to this dorm that's brand new, and half of them you're going to be assigned to this dorm that was like from the 60s. How happy do you think you're going to be in your accommodations? The guys that were and gals that were going to the new dorm was like 6 out of 7. I'm going to be completely happy. The kids going into the old dorm was like 2 out of 7. Turns out neither one are right. They both at the end were 5.4, right in the middle on their happiness. Anyway, that was just a little one. But let's talk about the dollar because, Matt, they are predicting, dollar to zero. And I know, and I want to just play a little, since it's Friday, Matt. Whoa, 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 whoa. Is the dollar going to zero? I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Is that dollar going to zero?
I like it. So, Bobby, the dollar is not going to zero by the end of the year, for sure. And, the reason why humans are the way that you just said is when things are going one way, their head can't see outside of their little bubble. And yeah, we've been trending down really since again, this was COVID, the COVID spike, saw a spike to 103, and since then it's been nothing but nonstop doom for the to speak in the dollar doom gold bull mentality, right? The dollar's going to zero, the world's going to a shit in a handbasket as fast as you can say, blah. Well, here's what gets you, and it's no different. It's like watching stocks going to all-time highs right now. They're not going to double next month. They're just not going to. They've tripled, quadrupled, gone 6x in the last month. Are they going to do it again in January? Hell no, they won't. So here's the dollar, Bobby, and we're looking this. I'm going to start right here. We're looking. I've talked about the dollar, and I am long the dollar, and I'm long the dollar from back a decade ago. So it's not a new thing for me. And you got to be aware that this is just, again, this is not the time to be short the dollar after it's gone down this far. And when you pull back a little bit, let me give you a long-term picture, because the dollar, has been out here for a while trading since, this is the mid 80s. And this is where we started, 128. And it went down, down there to the 90s, and then rallied into the end of the year, end of the
millennium.
The millennium. Thank you. I could not come up with the word.
Yeah.
Appreciate your help, my producer, Bobby. And from there, we had a huge downdraft into, the Obama abyss. And then once Trump got in there, the dollar has recovered. Imagine that. And now where we are is we're really nowhere. A matter of
No,
fact,
I couldn't agree more.
like,
I mean,
nothing's happened. So this is where you have to fractal into like the big picture, because this isn't going to collapse overnight, folks. It's not a penny stock. The United States, although it has its issues, is not going to go away, whether Biden wins, whether Trump remains. It's not going to go to hell in a handbasket. Matter of fact, focus on what's in front of you, and try to make lemonade out of the lemons that life is giving you right now, or whatever it is. Like you said, if this is dragging you down, the dollar's not going to go to zero. First of all, even if it breaks 88, it's not going to zero.
well, I mean, when you look at that too, if that's not the dollar, you're right. The highs from 0610, those two blip highs,
Yep.
right? 0810, and now the lows that we might double bottom down there at 88. I mean, that is long term. Those are giant levels.
Giant levels.
For sure, there's going to be a giant argument. Like you will be able to hear that argument if it was on the trading floor from both break rooms.
Right.
That's how much with and against money is going to start.
Well, and long-term money is here. I mean, long-term money looks at this stuff. So again, we're not talking a 3-month chart here. We're talking, we're talking a 35-year look. So, people need to kind of pipe down a little bit. And the reverse of that is when you look at something like Tesla. Do you think that's going to double?
They've solved apparently they're going to solve every problem in humanity, right?
I mean, it's absolutely insane right now. It's through the roof. 690 today, was the high, but I figured they might try to trap it at 700, hit it at least just to play with the options guys. I actually sold some 720s yesterday, so those are going to zero because we're not going to hit 720. They expire in about 4 hours, so those are going to zero. But this is the thing. Humans, they look at the trend after it's happened. And this is why a lot of people tell you technical trading is useless, but they don't know how to use it is the whole point.
Well, for sure. I mean, it's the nuance. It's the
correct. So, but when they see something like that, their brain tells them I need to get in because I missed the move from 60 to 700. Well, yeah, you missed it. It's not going to happen again tomorrow. Now is not the time to buy it. So, and if you're to kind of, come back to the dollar, it's the same thing. It's like, I mean, now's not probably the great time to short it after you've had a year like this.
Right. So, Matt, if Van Morrison were singing, he would be saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! The dollar's not going to zero."
Exactly. Not by the end of the year, and not next year either. It's not. The world's not going to end. We will continue.
Back to Tiger Stadium in Detroit. Yes. Is Domino's a publicly traded company?
Yeah, I believe it is still DPZ.
I like how we can, because I could play that too. Whoa, 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 Domino's.
Yeah. So here's a year-long look at Domino here, and it's right in balance. After making a new move, a new high here, all-time high, of course, 435, has settled back into kind of a comfort zone, kind of that 360 to 390. You may want to take a stab if you want to, if you're into this type of setup. Looks pretty good as long as 360 holds. Anything underneath it, it's kind of like eh. But right now, after a pullback, you got a 10% pullback again. I like to buy dips. I don't like to chase things.
Right.
As long as we hold these key averages and the profile has participants like it does up in this range, which this is 8-9 months of participation. It's been kind of basing. Again, this is the time that you want to. The battle is just. It's kind of nobody's winning right now.
Right on.
So
right. Matt, let me share for a second because this, I believe, was shared inside the Market Vitals network. Hold on. An interesting share here from member Mike. And that is Pentagon abruptly halts Biden transition briefings, leaving officials stunned. I don't know what to make of it, but for sure, you know, they stalled on doing anything transition wise, right? And then they relented and said, you know what, we don't know how this thing's going to pan out, so we'll start the transition process, make sure that it goes smoothly. If we don't win our court cases or our challenges, this I don't know what to think of this. Again, man, we live in such an age of ambiguity, Matt, that I honestly don't know what to think.
Well, I mean, I think the key thing here is, you know, again, let's not overblow what this is saying, but it's basically saying anything intelligence oriented, we're not going to share with them right now. That's the way I read it, which, you know, that's a pretty big deal. It's not a huge deal, but it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. And I just wanted to reaffirm same thing on my end here, same chart, dollar, longest term. This is a quarterly chart, 3-month chart. And again, showing the same bottoms and tops. We are, though, rolled into a little bit of a lower momentum situation like we did here back in January of 18. We got a little collapsing potentiality. So this double bottom for me becomes very important here, first quarter next year. And again, this is super long-term outlook. Because if it does take that out, and again, we're just talking about revisiting old areas, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so maybe we do extend down into some of the meat that I'm sure the profile will show around this 80 level. But it certainly is not, you know, it's not setting up like over here in January of 01, if these were the lows. Like, it's not falling apart. It's not showing that yet. I mean, it's showing
in the top of those candles, like you said, 08, 9. You know, the top, not the wicks, but like the meat, you know.
Right here, 85.
I just don't, I have a hard time even seeing it whipping through that, honestly, but, you know.
Everything and anything.
And I will say this, the reason why all stocks are floating right now is because of this action in the dollar. So again, for those of you hoping or wanting the dollar demise, understand that with that comes the stock. You know, the stock market will continue to go through the roof if it goes down, and it's really fake then because your dollar's worth less, right? So it's a fine, and the U.S. knows this. It's a really fine line we're walking between this intervention that the FOMC is providing, you know, with the endless helicopter cash, and the fact that you're now seeing inflation creep. I don't know what else to call it. It's, you know, we're seeing it. Businesses are feeling it. Costs are up everywhere, you know, from employment costs to insurance costs, you know, to the price of milk. Everything, everything is up right now, and gasoline is on the way up. So, you know, that's not a good thing for those that are just trying to get by, having their dollar worth less, and it costs more to buy these things.
You know, Matt, this is the quarterly. We had a little poll inside Market Vitals, and people were looking for Apple. And you speak of that. I mean, when you look at this quarterly chart of Apple, it aligns pretty perfectly with the TARP and the QE forever. Now, there was QE1, QE2, QE3, and now it's QE seemingly forever.
Yeah, and again, this looks like it's going to do a loop-de-loop for me. I mean, it's almost inverted how straight up it is. It's crazy to see that.
Yeah. Anyway, Apple for me, you know, a little shorter term look here. Here's a 3-day. We got several 3-day segments in up momentum, but for me, that double top is going to get real physical because it's going to run into the double top, and it's also going to run into the collar on standard deviation modeling. So, you know, again, I think this thing has ran so far. Can it run more? Can all of these things run more? Of course they can. We talked about it yesterday. It's just one. It's like the Three Gorges Dam. It appears to me. Like, are there cracks? Can it be saved? Yeah, but if it goes, Katie bar the doors. You know.
Yeah. No, again, it's, you know, I've said this about the markets right now. We're kind of in this massive game of. You know, what's the game? You know, that we're the musical chairs. We are in a musical chairs moment in the markets. Meaning, as long as we keep finding new suckers to chase this thing higher, and we run out stop, we run the stops out of shorts, we'll continue to go higher, and that's where we are. Now, when the music stops eventually, will the exits allow for everybody that plays the same way to exit at the same time? It never allows that, Bob. You know it, I know it. So
yeah, no.
It's a dangerous time.
Matt, let's just talk about it, since it's Friday. I've talked to myself about being a cynic, but I'm also a realist. And when I saw this was actually in my feed 6 years ago. The first glass, I'm half full. The second glass, I'm half empty. The third glass, I think this is piss.
And the fourth glass should be of my kids. I think this is a Monster. No, it's a Monster energy drink.
Monster.
Which also looks like and tastes like the third item in your list.
The old line from the floor, and I've said it here before, don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. Especially important in market analysis, right? Anyway, I saw that. I thought that was fun for a Friday. And the other one is this one. What is going on with Geraldo Rivera? This guy, he's slowly turning into an old Jewish grandma. I mean, if I could make his mouth do it, he'd be like, "Oy vey." I hear an oy vey coming out of this. It's unbelievable. This guy is more. I mean, this guy was on the front lines in the Sandinista, the wars of Central America, dodging bullets. And disheveled doesn't even begin to describe what's happening to Geraldo. I wish there was a vaccine that could help him get back to his real journalism days.
Larry David should employ him as a real, playing himself on the Curb season next year. I'm sure they could fit in a great part of that story into the Curb series with Geraldo joining them. It'd be great. And all right, Matt, because Richard Lewis also plays an old Jewish grandmother on the latest Curb Your Enthusiasm series. I mean, he plays himself, which is, an old, frail Jewish grandmother. That's what he looks like.
Oh, oy vey, oy vey. Anyway, Matt, that's what I got. It's a Friday. We got holiday markets. Next week, I think we should just cocktail every episode.
Yeah. I think we should make some, festive drinks. And do some, maybe do some reviews next week on the show.
I got a nice one. It's called the Saint Nikolai, right? It's a Russian, a white Russian, right? But with muddled mint in it, right? The Saint Nikolai. It's a fantastic drink. I highly listen. It's super easy. Just make yourself a white Russian. But before you make the white Russian, put the mint in the glass and hit it like you're going to make a Moscow Mule or a what's the one for the Derby? A mint julep, right?
Yeah.
But then just hit it with the white Russian ingredients. Fantastic! I'm telling you right now.
So, now do you know, like, I think Smirnoff is making this scratch and sniff schnapps on the bottle. The bottle's scratch and sniff. You got to get this stuff because they only sell it like a couple months of the year, and this is what you need for that drink. It sounds like you buy the scratch and sniff Smirnoff
mint.
Yes, schnapps. So it's a
listen, man. I got to tell you something right now. That for me, if you can't make the effort to go find some fresh frickin' mint. Forget Smirnoff. All right.
I'm just trying to give you a turbo version.
Listen to me. All right, Crater Lake, right down the street. They're making vodka. Why would I give money to Smirnoff to ferment alcohol? They're making it right down the street.
You frat boys, you want a little extra? You want to get the Smirnoff. Forget about the soft
stuff.
Well,
you know what? Maybe that explains it. I never was a frat boy. I was a GDI keg buster. Western Michigan University. I'll bring up that picture someday. Go Keg Busters. Anyway, Matt, you have a great weekend. People, you trade for a reason, and that's to enjoy your life. All right, that's not. There could be no other reason. All right, please join us at marketvitals.io and get a layer of accountability. I'm not saying that I will. Well, no, I'm gonna leave. I'm just telling you, I will be honest. I will be honest about my analysis. Matt will be honest about his analysis of any market, any price discovery that's going on. And believe me, you don't need a cheerleader cheering you on in your shitty positions. You need somebody to preach the light, and the light is the real risk and reward of any trade setup. That's what we're building. Please join us. Matt, thank you so much.
Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate it.